Again, Harvey, Study Skills, Techniques video. How to learn. A few ideas about revision. We retain 20% of what we read. We retain 30% of what we hear. 40% of what we see. 50% of what we say. And 60% of what we do. The reason this goes up like this is purely and simply putting the information in and changing it, putting it out in a different way. The variety of techniques that you use will improve your understanding and retention of the material you've revised. There are many different methods of revision, and this video is not meant to be a catch-all, but it's meant to introduce you to some things that you may not have thought about yourselves. Things like thinking skills triangles. Think of a topic, write it down. Think of as many words as you can with that topic and write them around the outside of a triangle. Look at the words and prioritise them. Put in the words that are more important into the middle of the triangle. From this, you will help explain and prioritise these factors. One from the primary schools. Look and cover, write and check. Read the information, cover it up with something, write it out, and then finally check whether you're right or not. Highlighting. This is where you use a highlighter and go through your jotters, your relevant notes, and highlight the important things that you need to remember. Just remember, don't do it in Mr. Lodge's textbooks. You might get slightly annoyed with you. Jigsaw. This way you write the information down, cut it up, obviously not into two smaller pieces, and then have to put it back together again. That way it's forcing you to look at the information and read it. Moving around. Some people enjoy being out just on the move and they can think better on the move. So have a walk around the room, have a walk around a beach somewhere while reading the information that you've got. Possibly even taping the information and listening to it. Taping shows how old I am, should be recording. Topping up. The obvious thing here is that if you revise something on an evening, chances are you're going to have forgot some of it the following morning. So have a few notes out there so you just have a quick look through the following morning. This will help it stick inside your brain. One of my wife's favourites is post-it notes. Put little facts, information that's required on a post-it note and stick them all over the place that you're going to meet them from time to time. Fridge, cupboards, inside your jotter. Mind maps, spider diagrams, brainstorms, these are all terms that's been used for this. And it's a matter of connecting the information. You can use pictures and colours to connect different strands and see how it all fits together for the overall topic. It's a bit holistic. A good old favourite are flashcards, where you write a question on the front and the answer on the back. And you can use them individually, or you can sit with friends or family and do that. Mix them up. And effectively, you can play trump, you play dominoes with them. Thousands of years ago, when I was at university, this was my favourite. Travelling into work on a train in the morning, I'd take the yesterday's notes and condense them into things that were a page into just 3 or 4 lines. Use the lines regularly and the page occasionally, thus helping to trigger deeper memory. A similar idea is key fob notes, whereby you get a small booklet and just write your notes in that so you can keep it with you all the time and keep revision when you're just sat in a car or on a bus. Light switch revision is as it says. Put some cards, post-it notes around the light switch, and every time you switch it on and off, then you're revising because you'll probably read the switch. Change them every day or every couple of hours if you're switching the lights on and off a lot. A self-testing quiz where he writes the 10 questions down and passes them to somebody else to ask you the questions where they've got the answers as well. Also helps, a bit like flashcards, but a bit more intense. In the actual exam, you have a limited time, so an idea might be to have some timed questions, 4 or 5 questions, a couple of minutes a question, and set an alarm so that you have to answer the question within a set time. Perfect practice for sitting in the exam hall. Connected questions and answers. Put a topic, a keyword in the middle of a piece of paper, and you have to join that to so many more keywords. When you've failed, pass it on to somebody else. Let them have a go. Record your revision. This could be either by video or some form of voice recorder. And what you do then is play that back. You can play that back personally to your earphones while you're travelling somewhere, or you can play that back with friends and let you join in together and enjoy the revision. Pro-con diagrams are where you write a statement in the middle and put what's in favour of the statement or what's against the statement. This could be a fact, could be, in my case, chemistry, some form of chemical reaction, and you're making points for and against it. Like any sort of training, for sport or for dance or anything like that, you will be better, revise faster and better when you're motivated, when you're relaxed, when you're actually eating and sleeping well, when you're revising in a comfortable, sensible location, and when you believe that you're actually doing it for a reason, for the exams. So try and avoid revising when you're bored or when you're worried. Make sure you've eaten and things like that properly. And make sure when you sit around doing it, you're comfortable doing it. Sounds daft, I know, but there are certain things that you need to make sure you get right on the exam day. 1, turn up on time. It's an amazing number of kids that miss the first 10 minutes of an exam. Big brain breakfast. It sounds silly, but make sure you get something to eat in the morning. Read the questions in the exam carefully. Most questions will have simple bits and hard bits. And if you read the hard bit first, you'll not bother trying the simple bit. Whilst on the idea of questions, you have to remember some exams require you to pick a question from several, others you've got to answer every question. On the ones that you're answering every question, you don't necessarily need to do them in order. If you're struggling on one, move on to the next. Take your time with the answers as well. You're allocated a certain length of time for the exam. That can break down to a certain length of time per question. Use it. And when you come to the end, reuse it by going over them, reading through them. Make a note of how many marks a question is worth. This indicates how much time and effort you need to put into it. A 1-mark question, well, a quick answer. A 5-mark question is going to require a lot more thought and effort for you to be able to get those 5 marks. When you get to the end of the paper, read through your answers. I'm not saying a whole mark changes to any answers, but if you read through the answers, hopefully you will spot anything that's glaringly wrong. That's the way we can pick up any extra marks that way. Last thing, straight after the exam, don't be in too much of a rush to compare how you've done with your friends. They may be considering they've done very well, and they may not have. You might think you've done very well, you may not have. It works the other way as well. Best of luck in the exams. Finally, 10 steps to successful revision. 1. Revision space. Find a good place to work. Should be quiet and uncluttered. 2. Revision timetable. Draw up a revision timetable. It's crucial. This should be done several months earlier. Cover all the subjects and allow the time off for relaxing. Try and keep it to 15-minute periods as well for the actual revision. 3. Make notes. Don't just read through your classwork. Make notes. One useful tip is to gradually condense your notes so they fit onto the back of a postcard. 4. Revision guides. Get a recommended revision guide from your teacher and make sure you use them. 5. Questions and answers. Write out some questions and answers to see how much you're actually remembering. 6. Listen in. Read your notes on a cassette, or in these days via some form of recording device, and then play them while walking around the street, while you're in bed, while you're watching television. 7. Prompts. Put keywords and phrases on sticky notes around the house so you see them all the time, so they annoy you. 8. Seek help. Don't do it alone. Get some friends. Talk to them. Revise with them. 9. Past papers. This is a biggie. You need to be looking at past papers. There are a limited amount of questions that can be asked. And 10. Relax. All revision is better if it's relaxed. If you're panicking, you're not going to do very well. So relax and make sure your revision is kept short, sharp, and with plenty of breaks.